first podcast back for a new event. Then with my good buddy Samnang, who started me off on this podcast interview journey. And then I'll go into like, hey, tell us a little bit about how you got started in the podcast community and or maybe your
coaching
as an influential coach.
Yeah.
And then so we'll kind of just start with that, and then we'll go in, and then and if you want to like, I don't mind it. Like most of the time, it's like me asking the questions, and you know what I mean. But I don't mind if you like want to go back and forth a little bit either. You know.
Yeah. How long should we record for? Maybe give me like a time.
Like
15, 20?
I would say between 10 and 15 should be our like goal.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't been like you, man. I haven't gone over 15. Like I had this one girl who just kept talking, so we went like 13 minutes.
Yeah.
But like that was pretty much my longest one. So.
Yeah. I could carry a little bit. Maybe you could push it to, cause there was one episode I never did past an hour, and then I had a dude that was been gaming and streaming for like 8 hours, like a straight at night, and then he pushed me a little bit, so I went past like an hour and 30. So it's like, it's just kind of like a muscle. It's just like training. Yeah. You know how I first started off with like a minute or two on like stories and stuff, and then I bumped it up to like 5 minutes on Instagram or on Facebook and stuff. And then the more you do it, like 15 is good, right? Just like we're training and stuff. It just push it just a little bit. We could probably just push it to like 20 and stuff, because I could carry conversation. I think what we could talk.
And then we'll go into like just I just want to kind of like give you the game plan. Like, we'll go into like, so we'll start with like what started you, and then we'll go into like maybe give us some of your influences, because we'll talk about this is a real influence podcast.
Yeah, I like it.
Talk about some of your influences, and then talk about whatever you want, and then we'll go into like. All right, Samnang. So I know that, with your coaching business and everything that you have going on, talk to us about, some of the influencing you're doing, and maybe give us, you can either like give us some examples of like some of the best stories that you have from one or two coaching people, or you can just tell us like in general, like how you feel about it, and then we'll I usually ask people for like a quote or like a motto just to like give the audience, and I kind of highlight that in the bottom, like I put it when I edit it, I put the quote.
Yeah, I got a good one. I bet. I meditate on stuff until I get some insight, but I have one that I've been meditating on.
Nice.
And I think your audience will like it.
Good one, because sometimes people are like,
no, this is good. Your audience will like it. It's a Bruce Lee quote. I've always been meditating on Bruce Lee's quotes, but this one has kind of, after I made the spiritual enlightenment, I was like, okay, it's different now, so I can definitely share a little bit more insight. It's something I've been meditating on.
and then we'll just finish with like, how do people follow you? And how can people, show you some love online, and then we'll be like, all right, we got a show coming up. Samnang is gonna be in the audience, signing off, and then we'll, and if you want to like set up a booth of some sort, like a code, like I don't know if you have like content where you like sell, like. You feel free to do that on September 22nd. You know what I mean? You might be able to.
Maybe I just come. I think I just come because I mean.
Okay.
I guess I'm the brand myself. Because I'm the face of it and then stuff. And then typically what happens is they know who I am and they see me on a podcast, and then the more they see me and stuff, because I am gonna be around. Like I told you, I was gonna be moving to Annandale, so which is good.
Yeah.
For the community, for me to support and my family and stuff I'm so that's good. I'll be
and you'll be right there. I mean, I live in Falls Church near Annandale, so
yeah. We'll definitely collab. I'm loving it, man. I'm loving the vibes. So I follow the format. I got some good stuff I've been thinking about and stuff on my head, so I always got time to talk.
Cool.
Yeah.
You ready to rock?
Yes, sir.
here we are. We're here with the main man, Sam Nang, my good buddy, my high school friend. And well, first of all, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. I've been working out really hard and sleeping really well and working really well. So I'm in a good workflow. I've been feeling good. Of course, there's the highs and ups of like work and being an adult, but I'm surviving. And my friend says surviving and thriving. But that's what I'm doing.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to hear, my brother. And what better way to start out the first episode of Real Influence podcast than with my main man, Sam Nang, who actually many people might not know, but actually got me into doing some of these interviews and
Podcasting.
Kind of kicked me in the butt a little bit to kind of get these things going and show me a little bit on the technical side of things. So I appreciate you, man. And speaking of that, just tell us, just start us right off, man. Tell us how you got into the podcast world. I know you're now an influential coach.
I don't know if I'm influential.
Give us a little background on what got you started and how you got there.
Yeah, man, I love it. Well, I've been YouTubing for like 8 years now. That's kind of where I took a big leap into like my personal development and career towards a little bit more of what I wanted to do in life. So I was inspired. So first off, I gotta say thank you for having me on the podcast. It's always like an honor to be on somebody else's podcast. So I appreciate you having me on there, and that was a great like introduction. And I'm a big fan of what you're doing with interviewing other athletes and building stories and building community around that. So I was definitely digging it, and I love it. So I told you, and you know, I don't know if I kicked you in the butt. I think like I don't know, like do I nudge people. I definitely nudge people, but I don't know if I kick people in the butt anymore. I definitely nudge people. So it was like okay, but I'm glad it got started. It's cool, man. So I'm on it, but so how the thing got started is, let's fast forward to college. When I had my existential crisis of trying to figure out what I wanted to do in my life, I read a Tony Robbins book, started becoming, chose business, decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but didn't really know what I wanted to do. So around the age of 30, that's when I was like really serious about like my spirituality, my personal well-being, like what I was going to give back to the universe. Instead of just working like a regular 9-to-5 job, I was kind of making my game plan to kind of leave to, you know, like try to get out the matrix. That was kind of what I was going to do. So I started journaling a lot, and then I started putting out some YouTube videos, longer format, but they took a long time. Like I documented my bodybuilding journey. If you guys go back into like my old YouTube, it has like when I started, I gave up drinking, started bodybuilding, started journaling, started putting more content out. So it would start off like vlogs, and then it kind of migrated to like stories and reels, and it's just always been a consistent thing. I've just been, I guess, extremely disciplined. I don't know, I would say yes, I feel disciplined sometimes, but when I look at it from there, I've just been very consistent at doing things. Now I guess it's starting to pick up a little bit of traction with podcasting, and podcasting started literally this year. You were on a few of the first episodes. I wanted to bring you on because you had a cool lifestyle, and I knew you and I respect you. I respect you a lot because, or we have influence on each other because we wrestled together and we played sports with each other. And I understand, like, knowing your lifestyle and my lifestyle and how we went to school together. I was always influenced by people that I had respect for, and I've always had respect for Brent. Every time we were in school, yeah, I mean, school, like we went to high school together. It was a lot of like shit talk. There was a lot of bad stuff happening. There was a lot of good stuff happening, but there was a few of us that were, you know, trying to be good, and I knew like Brent was one of those good influences. Some of my other big influences is my dad and stuff. I definitely want to talk about that. But the podcasting started, and it just picked up traction with our communities. So I plugged it from our Lake Braddock High School community. You plugged it with some of your communities. I would consider you guys kind of like branches off of our original podcast. As Danny started, Danny started our podcast together, and he was a high school friend of ours. If you guys look at our old podcast, there's 3 of us. We all went to the same high school and everything, but we didn't really know each other. We really didn't know each other. I didn't know Danny in high school. I knew Brent, and we were buddies, but I don't think we were like good friends and like connected on like a different level now that we're podcasting, just trying to showcase like people how to have like good conversations and just reconnect with people. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of grown out of authenticity. I think that's why I think picked up traction, where we just talked about life.
Yeah. Yeah, man. No, I mean, and what you've been doing since kind of like the inception of you starting the podcasting, I've been following it. And when you guys had me on, it was more so just like I was a guest on the show. And now, kind of everything coming full circle, I'm interviewing other folks.
Yeah.
And it's really something cool. And it's almost like if you think about it in a broader way, it's like a time capsule. You know, like we'll look back on these talks, and this is this moment in time. You know what I mean? Like this is as old as we've been and as young as we'll be.
Yeah.
And this is this moment in time that we've had this conversation, and this is what was going through our brains. And I think it's an awesome thing, and that's kind of why I enjoy getting these young fighters on, because hey, they'll look back, whether they go pro or whatever they do, the coaches, as they move through time, and be like, wow, that hopefully it's something that they can look back on and really, really enjoy. I really, what can I say, man? You kind of turned me on to something that.
I mean, I didn't realize it. I didn't realize how much I loved it. I think we had a few words about it. How like you just kind of like miss it. You kind of enjoy it. Every time I get done recording a podcast, I get so excited and I get so productive like right after. And you just said the same thing. It's like you miss it. You genuinely come back and miss it and create like this impact. And I like how you said it was like a time capsule. It really is like a time capsule. And that's how I always looked at like on my social media is like a time capsule. And then sometimes I think what people struggle with when you put yourself out there, because I was putting myself out there a lot, and that's the big struggle, is a lot of insecurity, right? Of like what do I talk about and who I talk about and stuff. And a lot of it we talk about is like personal development and stuff, like doing hard stuff. Martial arts is hard. I respect what you do, Brent. I respect that you put up the podcast so fast. I respect that you just figured it out. I was like, yeah, you just did the same. Our philosophy is just was like, like the conversation was like, all right, here's what you do. I was like, what do you do? I was like, okay, here's what you do. I was like, and then the rest you figure it out.
Yeah, man, it just popped, and it just came to me like that, and something that, like I say, I have a passion for, and I enjoy working with the athletes and putting on these shows. And, man, it's just been an accumulation of influences throughout my life, but not about my influences. Let's talk about yours, man. This podcast is about influence, and I know you probably have some amazing influences in your life. I know, similar to mine. Your father was a big influence in your life, and so tell us a little bit about him. Maybe a little bit, if you have any other kind of empowering influences, I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, thanks. That's a great theme that you have. The real influence and asking. I do have three big ones I want to share. My dad is definitely one. Of course, it's like a strong father is a very big influence, so that's why I try to represent. Like a strong masculine father. And I think there's also a misconception about like toxic masculinity, and I think real influence and personal development, that's what it is. I express like honest, being vulnerable and stuff. So my dad is a big influence on me. He grew up, you look at some of his old pictures, he's like a combination of like Bruce Lee and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And naturally, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Lee are also my three biggest like influence as I grew up as well too. And I'll talk a little bit about how they had an influence on my life. Of course, my dad's a strong influencer. Well, I don't think he's an influencer, but he's just like a legend. But I just recently did a podcast with him and talked about. We were refugees. My refugees, there was like a war, internal civil war in our country, and we had to flee the country. And we talked about the 3 years that it required to get to the States by living in like an illegal refugee camp. So he talks about the story of us like just trying to survive for like 3 or 5 years. It's pretty crazy stories that he has, and that's why it's so like inspirational. And I always love hearing his stories and stuff. And it's just a lot of courage. And then what happened was like we moved to America, and like when we look back at it, you're like, damn, that was a lot, you know. But it's also very empowering.
Cambodia.
Yeah,
It was Cambodia, correct?
yeah, Cambodia. But you know, a lot of people don't know our story and stuff. We're starting to like, because we have some like really good artists. Like I'm a philosopher, like to draw. We just had an artist perform at the Olympics, and our temples and our art are starting to like come out to like notoriety and stuff. So it's good. We have pride. So first, it's my dad gave me a lot of culture, a lot of identity in my culture, and just a strong figure. You know, he was always in shape. He was always working hard. He wasn't always emotionally expressive until like he grew up a little bit older, and my mom passed away. He started becoming more emotionally intelligent. So seeing that was very helpful, right? To understand like you as a man, you can be emotionally intelligent. That's one thing I learned from him. And just you know, your father, you should respect him. You know, I think in martial arts, the Asian community and stuff, it's just a lot. It's just respect, right? Wouldn't you agree? You tell maybe you could tell a little bit about your father as well too. I think that'd be because I know him.
Yeah, no,
I know him, but I don't know him from your perspective as much. You talked a little bit about on your podcast, and Mike Master Hess used to warm me up, and he would always like I'd always call it matches. He'd come into my ear and be like, "This is a fight. It's a fight." And then I was like, "This is a fight." My mindset started shifting when him in my ears. That's all I can remember. Like Mike Master Hess.
He watched our podcast that we did, a few months ago, and he was cracking up because he remembers you. He kind of like, some of those memories of the wrestling.
I sucked.
Kind of going back to him when he thinks about
I was absolutely terrible wrestler. I was always out of like I weighed like 10 pounds more than I should, and I was always getting nervous. Every time I wrestled, I had to go pee so bad. It was just, but it was a grind. After it was done, I was like, man, this shit, like.
He always talked about it like a fight though.
Yeah.
He was like, "This ain't wrestling. It's a fight."
It is a fight. Life's a fight. At the end, martial arts and like what we do is like is a metaphor. It's like a fight. Life is a fight. If you let it like beat you down, it will beat you down. Like we will listen to Rocky and watch Rocky, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Lee. Those are two like outside of my dad and of course my brothers as well too. But outside that. It was Bruce Lee and then Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger gave me a lot of like, oh, I wanted to be a bodybuilder and just live that immigrant dream of just coming to America, making millions and building muscles and stuff, right? But Bruce Lee really gave me that philosophical thinking. I always like tried to understand his thinking, and it was so hard to understand for so long. Then I made like a spiritual breakthrough, and I was like, oh, okay, it makes sense now too. So I do want to share a powerful quote that I think your audience members might like.
Give it to us. I always ask for one on this podcast, and I want to hear what you got.
Yeah, I think the most powerful quote that I have two, but the one that I've been meditating on. So I always meditate on something, right? On some words that I'm like, yeah, try to get these to some life. But his is absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, add what is specifically your own. So that is like his recipe for like self-actualization, like being your own individual human being. Because his style, his philosophy, and you could apply it to anything. You see me like I used to CrossFit, I used to bodybuild, I'll practice Muay Thai, I'll practice boxing, I'll practice martial arts, right? The styles and systems that keep them separated, that's what keeps people from growing and like loving each other and stuff. It happens in religion, it happens in sports and all of that. And Bruce Lee's like his fundamental thinking is that you as an individual don't get caught up on all this, but to learn from all these peoples, learn from all these systems, the best as you can, and then whatever is not working for you at that time that was not resonating, just discard it and then add your own kind of twist to it, your own flair. And that's where you can use art and philosophy. And that's kind of like how Bruce Lee's teaching is. It's very deep, it's very philosophical, but that's what I've been meditating on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. No,
Yeah.
I like that a lot, and I think that's a lot of what my father built my keto upon. You know, he got his black belt in 5 different martial arts styles. He took the best, most effective techniques that he found through that, and put his own twist to it, like you said,
Yeah.
and made my keto. So that was kind of I know my dad followed Bruce back in the day. I think he met him a couple times actually, even.
Yeah.
And trained
Your
with
dad
Dan
met him?
Anasanto. Yeah, Dan Anasanto was
Yeah.
Bruce Lee's
That's
one
neat.
of his coaches, and my dad trained under him. I met Dan Anasanto. I went to one of his
Okay.
seminars. I have a little certificate at my house when I was like 8 years old.
That's Bruce Lee's best friend.
and
If you guys don't know, like
Yeah.
that's Bruce Lee's best friend.
yeah,
It's like you're my
yeah.
martial arts best
And
friend too.
So yeah, I mean that's a great philosophy, man. And,
Yeah.
And,
I think that pays.
Say it again. Take what you
Absorb-
what's useful,
Absorb what is useful, discard what is
absorb what's
useless,
useful.
and add what is
Yeah.
specifically your own. That last part
Yeah.
is being unique, right? Bruce Lee was an individual. I'm an individual. You're an individual. But that part where I think where a lot of people get caught up in, like, say you've been in the CrossFit community, and that's like a good example. But I don't mean to shit on the CrossFit community or anything. But there's ones where like they're just all CrossFit, and then you can't see the other sports, the other different like modalities and stuff. And that thinking kind of just keeps you in that little bubble, right? CrossFit's a great system, but there's some imperfections in there. Like I went through the whole coaching program and got level 2, coach myself, coach other people, and started seeing like there's some flaws in the training modalities and the programming. There was one movement called a snatch that was very complicated, and I found a way to like make it very simple by studying the Chinese weightlifting team. And I was telling everybody at the gym, I was like, hey, look, I found something. And nobody would listen. They would just follow the CrossFit. And then like everybody was stuck at like 200, 210. I hit 230. And I was stuck at like the same thing, but I just changed my technique and I was like, this is the way to think, you know. That's kind of like where my training started taking more into my philosophy and everything in my life. But that's just an example.
You gotta adapt, and you gotta take, like you say, what's useful.
Yeah.
And kind of, discard what you can't, because not everything works for different people. Different things work for different people. Like
Yeah.
CrossFit, guys who are different body types, different things are good for them, and it's hard. CrossFit's not easy, man. I was level 1 certified, and man, it was challenging, man. And so now you're coaching not only because you were coaching people physically, but now you're coaching people mentally.
Yeah. That's where.
Tell us a little bit about that and some of the influence that you're
Yeah, the biggest influence I could talk about is Tony Robbins. I've been studying Tony Robbins. He's like a psychologist, business strategist. Like he's #1 coach. Like he coaches like the elite people and stuff. And I've been studying his coaching style since like college. And just as I've been going through life and dealing with life and dealing with my own stress and my own traumas and everything, I decided to become a life coach because I started working with life coaches to get people to heal their brains. Like my brain was jacked. Like I'm sure everybody want to hear like a struggle story, and that's where I was struggling. I was married. Brent knows that I was married, and some of the audience members know that I was married. And during the pandemic, just every negative life event happened, and a lot of things outside of my control that I could take care of. Just a lot of like traumas, from work, from life, being a new parent, and employment and all that just paid a toll on like my mental health. And I had to go through a lot. I did marriage therapy, my own therapy, and then working with coaches, working with NLP coaches. And then I was like, I got to give back. I started becoming a life coach and went to Tony Robbins life coaching program and just started coaching people because I started seeing other people's like struggles. You like if you like I'm not saying my own struggles or traumas are healed, but I'm healed enough where like I could see it in other people and support them in that area. And so I just did that for like and it was just like a natural transition because most anybody like my mentor Tony says it's about 80% psychology, right? And then 20% mechanics. Like if you're fighters or anybody that's listening to the podcast is like if you take care of how you manage and control your body and how you come and control your nervous system, that fight's gonna be easy, right? That podcast is gonna be easy. That sales pitch is gonna be easy because you prepared everything. So dedicating like I know it's kind of hard and like I dedicate my life to being in like this mastery like flow state where I could give back. But it's a lot, a lot discipline. Sometimes I get burned out, but I try to be as disciplined as I can.
Yeah. No, man, I know you're starting to make an impact in the community, and with everything that you're doing, you're kind of like wrapping it all up, man. All your clients, and helping out. I mean, look at me, man. I'm here doing these interviews because you got me on your podcast, and just kind of lit a little bit of a flame to the candle.
I think so. I mean,
man.
I've had people lit a flame in my ass too. It's not like having me on this podcast. I'm like, yo, we created some podcast babies, and we're pushing 20-minute limits and stuff. So it's like I've never been on podcast. Like I was telling you a little bit earlier, you're starting to push it a little bit, right? You're starting to push your speaking abilities, interviewing different questions and stuff. So you just get in rhythm and flow into it. And then making it your own. That's what you're doing, Brent. I think the podcast is growing. The format is building itself. The name, I think, just calls for like, I gotta listen to that.
The real, man, the real. Who doesn't want to listen to the real? Come on. You don't want that
not the fake, man. I mean, I think one thing I don't like is being like canceled or just for speaking your mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Brother. Hey, we'll tell everyone listening, let them know how they can follow you, how they can
support.
Show you a little bit of love online.
Yeah. So I'm a lifestyle performance coach. Just tell you a little bit about myself. I know, like I'm not saying I know everything, but I know a lot of stuff. And if I don't know how to stuff, I know how to research. Life coaching, nutrition, training, controlling the nervous system, right? Stuff that you don't learn at school. How to show up in peak performance, flow, mastery. One of the big things that I put together in the coaching program that I do want to tell people about is this meta identity shifting technique that I've used over and over, but I didn't really put it together. And after working with some coaches, starting to put some coaching techniques together in like the psychology side, I created this fancy proprietary thing. I haven't trademarked it yet, but I call it meta identity shifting. It's just taking like your thoughts when you meditate and when you like spend time in solitude of just like creating and feeling that vision, right? Once you create that vision of like having the money in abundance or winning the fight or starting a podcast or being married or something, you create like a vision and you start to feel it every day. That gives you more like a stronger feeling to complete your tasks. Like a lot of times people have just like to-do lists and nobody wants to do the fucking to-do list. Nobody wants to go buy turkey and eat broccoli, right? If you have a bigger vision of why you're doing it and stuff, the broccoli and turkey doesn't really matter. You just do it because you're so focused on what you want to do or your goals and stuff. They're in your like face, and most people need coaches to kind of help with that. But creating this identity shift, and when you become this person, things become easier. Like I said, I wanted to be a very good speaker, and then now I'm on a Real Influence podcast.
Yeah. so I don't know if you gave it to us. IG. Website.
Oh, okay, yeah. Follow me on Facebook, Samnang Man. Right, my name's unique. SamnangMan.com. I have Instagram, Samnang Man, Facebook. They're all connected. I did my best to link them all together. So if you want to go to samnangman.com, my name's pretty
Yeah.
unique there. You could probably just go on Google and find me. But say something. Don't. I will always accept a friendship if it doesn't look weird. On Facebook and
Yeah.
Instagram and stuff. Just say hi. I'm a real person. I do the podcast because of that, and I like talking to people. I'm not one of those person that, not real online. I like to show who I
Yeah.
am and what I'm doing and stuff, and earn people's trust. I think that's one thing in entrepreneurship is showing trust.
Yeah, man. And you're gonna be moving into the area pretty soon too, so that's good. We're gonna be neighbors, and that's good to hear. And are you making it out to our Champions League boxing event, September 22nd? And are you gonna be able to make it this time? Come on, man. You promised.
All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm a man of my word. Yes, so I'm moving. I'm thinking ahead. I had it. What time is it? At nighttime?
No, it's Sunday, September 22nd. It starts. First fight will start at 2 p.m. So it's during the day.
Okay, in DC. Okay, I will plan.
No, in Manassas. We're back in Manassas this time.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Manassas is a little bit easier to get to DC. I swear, every time I go to DC, I get a ticket. I hate going to DC.
Yeah.
But Manassas, I bet
Crazy.
it's at the Salisbury
Yeah.
Center, or is that the?
Yep.
Okay, I've been there. Got it. Okay, so I'm moving on with my brother. I have some support out there, and I'll make it Sunday for sure. What I'll do is I'll hang around and say hi and schmooze and say what's up and enjoy the show. Okay, I'll be there. Promise.
Yeah. All right. We'll have you a good seat there. I'm glad you're gonna make it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'm glad to collaborate.
Yeah,
You're nudging me now. It's like
yeah.
we gotta nudge each other sometimes. I try to nudge my friends. Sometimes they don't wake up, but I'll nudge you later.
That's it, man. Yeah, we just keep creating and keep doing good stuff, man. Instead of kind of sitting around gossiping and stuff like most folks might want to do. We're gonna keep creating and doing good stuff. So I want to see you continue to do that. I look forward to seeing you, if not sooner, at least on September 22nd. And yeah, man, thank you for joining us. Thank you for influencing this influence podcast. You're the real influence behind the real influence. And
that's a lot, man. Thank you.
Thank you, and much love, brother. We'll see you soon.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Brent. Best of luck with everything. Let me know if you need anything, okay?